This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday early morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After chanting the Heart of Wisdom Sutra. Good. So, someone wrote, and I think his name is Belgium. Belgium, Xavier Gamer. Good morning, Xavier. So, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I check for questions periodically. The noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, while practicing the deep practice of the perfection of wisdom. So, Avalokiteshvara is the archetype of love and letting go. Love is a litmus test. You see, when we practice concentration and contemplation, we can't help but become more anxious and aggressive. However, when we practice authentic mindfulness and meditation, we cannot help but become more loving, intentionally, interpersonally, behaviorally, and even circumstantially. Let's continue. Looked upon the five skandhas and seeing they were empty of self-existence. A skandha is simply an aggregate, which is just one of many systems of categorizing or organizing human experience together. Said here, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Shariputra is just a proper noun of an individual who's being addressed. Emptiness is not separate from form. Okay. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. What does that mean? Simply this. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever body we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel fleetingly less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even less graspable. And then we're going to use a figure of speech. As we relax into our exhalation, the form that we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty form. When I was a child at Platt Ranch Elementary School, my fourth grade teacher explained that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable, so we have to ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? And the answer is quite simple. How about the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand? And so whether we're talking about no self or whether we're talking about emptiness, both are just metaphors for the fleeting experience of non-graspability that is latent within each exhalation. Now, before I go on, there's a question. To be honest, I don't believe in God and Buddha wasn't one, so no new teachings. So new teachings never hurt. That's nice. So here's the cool thing. I don't teach belief. Belief is just rigidity, and I don't want to be rigid. We can be rigid or flexible. We can be fearful or loving. We can be controlling or laid back. I'd rather be flexible, loving, and laid back, and help you to be likewise. So you don't have to believe in Buddha. You don't have to believe in God. Just play with these exercises, and maybe once every 12 hours for a week or so. And at the conclusion of 7 days, ask yourself, am I experiencing more peace or not? Am I experiencing more love or not? That's it. That's the litmus test. Not whether you believe, but whether it works. When you buy a diet book, go straight to the practical exercises. If after a week there's no change in your health, then all the theory that justifies that diet is meaningless. We're taking a pragmatic approach. Let's continue with the chanting. Whatever is form is emptiness, whatever is emptiness is form. The same holds for feeling, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. This is just a fun, ancient way of organizing experience in terms of our body, its feelings, how we react to those feelings as being for instance, our body, its feelings of pleasure or pain, the intensity of that pleasure and pain, our impulse and reaction to pleasure and pain, and our awareness of the whole kit and caboodle. So it's kind of like, remember, so on a TV set, we have channels and we have volume. So the channel would be like feeling and the volume would be like appraisal. But it really doesn't matter, so let's move on. Here Shariputra, all dharmas or phenomena are defined by emptiness, not by birth or destruction, purity or defilement, completeness or deficiency. So these are conventional dualities. And as we breathe in, they feel very real. But as we relax into our exhalation, fleetingly, temporarily, they feel a little bit less real, and therefore will make us a little bit less nutty. Together. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse, and no awareness. So as we breathe in, yes, we experience form. As we relax into our exhalation, no, we experience less form until the next inhalation and the cycle begins anew. Together. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, and no mind. No shape, no sound, no smell, no taste, no feeling, and no thought. No element of perception from mind to conceptual consciousness. So what we're experiencing is what some people call the 3 circles of emptiness. Our organs of perception are, yes, the objects of perception and the experience of perception. And we're saying is that each of these can be noticed as we breathe in and released as we breathe out. At least a little bit, at least for a second or two, until we take our next in-breath. Let's continue. No causal link from ignorance to old age and death, or end of causal link from ignorance to old age and death. No stress, no source, no relief, no path. No knowledge, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, without attainment. Bodhisattvas take refuge in Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom, and live without walls of the mind. So, the better we get at noticing and relaxing, at least for a few minutes every 12 hours or so, the less neurotic we'll be, the less anxious and cranky we'll be, and the more peaceful and loving we'll be. Without walls of the mind, without rigidity, without walls of the mind, and thus without fears, we see through delusion and attain the mastery of awareness and release that is nirvana. So, as we breathe, so as we relax into our exhalation, whatever fears we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less graspable, at least for a moment. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, also take refuge in Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom. Aha. That's one moment, if you please. There we go. We're going to move the diacritical mark that's all Buddhas, past, present, and future, also take refuge in Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom, and realize the unexcelled perfect mastery of love and letting go, that is enlightenment. And I'll repeat myself. If we make the mistake of actively concentrating and actively analyzing, we're going to be anxious and aggressive. If we set that aside and practice the type of mindfulness during our inhalation that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting. And during our exhalation, practice type of meditation where we physically relax and mentally release, then we will involuntarily experience greater love. And that love will affect our intentions, our communication, our behavior, and our commerce. Let's continue. We should therefore know that the great mantra of mind protection of Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom. The great knowledge mantra, the unexcelled mantra. So mantra literally means mind protection. So we're using mantra as a metaphor. We're saying the ultimate mantra, the ultimate mind protection, is simply authentic mindfulness and meditation, wherein we notice and relax in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Let's continue. Oopsie. The mantra equal to the unequaled. Which is all suffering and is true, not false. The mantra Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom, is thus spoken. Got to make sure that everything's on the screen. Gate para sam gate buddhi swan. Gone perfectly, completely gone to liberation, may it be so. Or in other words, may all beings master releasing perfectly, and completely releasing into freedom. So although this is a loving wish, which is nice and healthy, remember, there is no magic in mumbling Sanskrit syllables. The only magic is a metaphor. And so the metaphoric magic is simply noticing and relaxing in harmony with our breathing. Having completed our opening recitation, let's shift gears. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, Let's sit and breathe and notice and relax. As we breathe in, so we can silently and mentally recite the verb noticing. As we breathe out, we can silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing. The cool thing is you don't have to. You don't have to say, mentally recite anything, or you can just count. If you choose to count, don't concentrate. The goal is not to concentrate on numbers. If you choose to count, some people count, the right reason to count, if you count at all, is to simply act as a timer, to mitigate the anxiety that can sometimes be triggered by the free fall of meditation. For as we sit here, we can involuntarily notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. All of them. The external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, and the grotesque. So it's not our job to control what we notice. It's our job just to go along with the ride, being vulnerable as we breathe in and relaxing as we breathe out. Let's dig in. checking for questions. So we view the Buddha simply as an archetype. Simply as a symbol of getting so good at noticing and relaxing that we cannot help but let go and love and go with the flow. Buddhist mythology tells us that the Buddha had a foolish cousin. And where the Buddha strove to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, his foolish cousin, Devadatta, chose to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Real or imagined, these two individuals became archetypes for two different paths, a matriarchal path and a patriarchal path, the path of proto-Buddhism and the path of institutional Buddhism. I've lived in many monasteries, and you can always tell someone who's into institutional Buddhism because they're cranky and they're controlling and they're cruel, regardless of how short their hair is or what kind of clothes they wear. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including people, including meditation teachers. So it's easy to find teachers who will say it's important to be rigid, it's important to be uptight, it's important to be fearful. But where I advise you, if you wish to be peaceful and happy, peaceful and loving, to find teachers who would rather say it's important to be flexible, it's important to be loving, it's important to be laid back. And then not just tell you it's important, but help you learn how to do it easily and quickly. For in the second to the final passage of the Buddha's lesson on the four bases of mindfulness, he explained that one could master this path in as little as 7 days. Not 7 years, not 7 decades, not 7 lifetimes, not 7 aeons, but 7 days. There is a Zen aphorism that says, enlightenment is the very act of sitting itself. Or in other words, just sit. That's an excellent metaphor, but a terrible literal statement. So, as a metaphor, what it's saying is that it's not our job to apply remedies to certain emotions or sensations or memories. It's not our job to repress them or explore them or indulge them. All we need to do is sit and breathe and notice and relax. We are already wired to notice during every inhalation thanks to our sympathetic nervous system. And we are already wired to physically relax, mentally release during each exhalation thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system. So we don't need to force anything. Now, for the last 10,000 years, humanity has been conditioned to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And so we have been conditioned to spend most of our days actively competing against our own autonomic nervous system, which is exhausting. So meditation, all we're doing is we're taking a break from that destructive habit. And instead, we're choosing to passively cooperate with the autonomic nervous system. It helps us to notice and relax in harmony with our breathing. Those who are rigid might insist there's only one way to meditate. Some might say put your hands together in your lap. Some might say put your hands on your knees. Some might say close your eyes tight. Some might say open them wide. Some might say hold your eyes at half-mast. Some might say gaze at the earth. Some might say gaze at the horizon. Some might say gaze at the sky. Some might say gently close your eyes and let your mind do whatever it does. Let us exercise the courage to listen to the ever-changing needs of our body. And when someone gives you unsolicited advice, thank them for their time, but don't necessarily buy what they're selling. Experiment with the teachings in the laboratory of your body and mind. For the test of any teaching is simple. Does it decrease anxiety and aggression? Does it increase peace and love? If the person giving you advice is rigid and cranky and fearful, then it doesn't sound, and you don't want to be that way, then do not do what they do. Because success, my friends, even spiritual success, leaves clues. If we do what someone does, we'll probably get the results that they got, whether those results are good, bad, or ugly. There are two types of people. There are two types of reactions we can have to others' disabilities. We can victim blame, or we can be our best to meet others' needs. Those who are victim blaming have lost the path of loving kindness. Those who strive to be helpful are most likely under the influence of loving kindness. You see, the Buddha's path is simple. It's only eightfold. And 50% of this path pertains to loving kindness. In the Eightfold Path, there's no talk about karma. There's no talk about reward. There's no talk about punishment. There is no talk about vows. Just talking about noticing and relaxing in such a way that it helps us to let go and love and go with the flow. I mentioned disabilities because not everyone can sit in the full lotus position, or the half lotus position, or the quarter lotus position. Some people have to sit on a folding chair with their feet flat on the ground. and with their tuchus right at the edge of their chair so they're not slouching. Some people have to slouch. Perfect is the enemy of good. So let us be kind and humble and nurturing to all people and all abilities and all circumstances. And let us free ourselves from the fascistic philosophy of victim blaming. One of the symptoms of indulging our controlling tendencies is trying to chase trance. Some people use the fancy term jhana or dhyana, but chasing trance is just another form of indulging our controlling tendencies, and it's completely unnecessary. The trappings of trance are explored involuntarily every night when we fall asleep, and in reverse whenever we wake up, to either roll over and go back to sleep or pad down the hall to go potty. So lucidly exploring that which we already experience when we fall asleep and wake up is a distraction, a self-righteous indulging of our controlling tendencies. Far better it is to just sit and breathe and notice and relax and let our body and brain do what they're going to do. It is as if meditation is like going to a theater If we're going to enjoy ourselves as a member of the audience, it's important to remember that we are not the producer, the director, the playwright, or the thespian. We're just some bloke what sits in the audience, sucking on a piece of hard candy and enjoying the antics of the people on stage. Similarly, as we sit in meditation, we don't even label. We just vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice and relax in harmony with our breathing. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening recitation, explanation, and practice of meditating like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.